everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. You have Alyssa Quorum and Ken Shreve here to break down the day's action and some notable strength we're seeing in one established software leader, and we also have a medical equipment name on our radar and an earnings mover. Ken, what do you have for us?
Yeah, definitely. I think it makes sense to take a look at Adobe, which made a very strong move today, qualified as a breakout. They report earnings next week. We'll also take a look at Avantor, which is a healthcare name. A lot of outperformance from healthcare medical stocks today. And finally, RH, formerly known as Restoration Hardware, which made a very bullish move on earnings.
That it did. First look at the major indexes. We have the S&P 500 here, up about 0.5% for the day, but clearing its highs from early May. So impressive in that regard. We also had the Nasdaq taking out that 14,000 level. Small caps down today, but really positive action, I'd say, from the S&P and Nasdaq. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely nice to see an all-time high, at least on an intraday basis, for the S&P 500. Doesn't look like there's much volume again behind the up session today, but we'll take an all-time high when we can get it. A lot of nice gainers in the S&P 500 today, and yeah, so here we are, right at highs. You mentioned, I guess we can go to the Nasdaq, and it's not good to see it close there above the 14,000 level. A lot of strength in the Nasdaq 100 today. That index actually outperformed the composite, I believe. So look at the Qs here. So that's looking pretty good. Five straight gains for the Qs, and a lot of large cap technology stocks doing well. I mentioned the Russell 2000. That lagged quite a bit. Financial stocks under a lot of pressure. That 10-year Treasury yield just continues to crater. Not that long ago, the Nasdaq was all worried about that 10-year yield going to 1.6, 1.65, 1.7%, and now that 10-year yield is, you can see a very bearish session today, closed right around 1.45, 1.46. So financials lagged, and home builders also took a big hit today that weighed on the Russell 2000.
And one more thing on large cap tech, really good to see where it closed today, because the last couple of sessions seeing it backing off after trying to get closer to those highs, not a good sign. So if we would have closed well off the highs again today, like it was looking like into the first hour or so of trade, that wouldn't have been as good as seeing a close near highs like we did see.
Yeah, no doubt. You can see how gains faded pretty badly on Tuesday and Wednesday, but nice close near highs for the Nasdaq 100 today, and a lot of really strong gainers. I mean, Adobe is in the Nasdaq 100, but there were a lot of nice movers in that index today.
So speaking of Adobe, this 4% gain in above average turnover definitely draws your eye on this chart here. We've seen a lot of sideways action from Adobe since it peaked last summer, back in September, but it now looks like it's coming back to life here, Ken.
Yeah, we first added Adobe to leaderboard more than a year ago, in April 2020, as it was coming out of that base there, and then we actually held on to it as it moved sideways starting in early September. So when it started moving sideways, and then its relative strength rating started to weaken, but we wanted to hold it because we had a nice profit cushion, and it is an IBD long-term leader. So we want to give those stocks, we want to be able to hold those for a long-term gain. So we actually took the opportunity to increase the position today, just because of the stock's strength. You had a breakout today, and you can still see it's in the early stages of breaking out of this very long consolidation. So we'll see what the earnings look like next week, but we felt like it was the right thing to do to increase the position today. It was a small position in the leaderboard model portfolio, but like I said, we increased it today on the strength.
Right. Our sell rules are a bit different with these long-term leaders. Looking at the monthly chart, using those longer-term moving averages, also looking to see the relative strength line holding up over the long term, which it has for Adobe. Another signal of it being a long-term leader, in addition to that relative outperformance, is this strong multi-year EPS growth rate and the stability of that growth. So a leaderboard adding exposure today based on all of those factors.
Yeah, definitely. And people sometimes forget that Adobe was one of the very first software companies to transition to this cloud
Yeah.
model, software as a service. They did that all the way back in 2012, so almost 10 years ago. They transitioned, but that move has paid off nicely. You can see it's really when the stock really started to
Mhm.
move and got its long-term leader status. That's this big price run that it made on the monthly chart. You can see it started pretty much right around 2012, 2013 when they transitioned to this new model.
A great fundamental story there. And next on our list, let's check in on AVTR Avantor, a medical sector name powering higher today, up 5%, volume behind the move as well. And Ken, it seems like as the growth does appear to be broadening a bit, more and more medical stocks are showing up on our screens.
Well, it was definitely where a lot of the action was in the market today. When you look at some of the top 10 performing groups in our database, the medical sector was well represented. 4 out of 5 groups in the top 10 of the day's best performers. So Avantor's industry group, medical research equipment services, last check that group was up about 2.5% today. So really like the move in Avantor. This was today's stock of the day, and really just a strong move here. It technically hasn't broken out yet. It's forming a base here. It's getting very close to that left side high of 33.99, and so maybe we'll see some follow through from this stock tomorrow, and it can break out with conviction. But I think people that wanted to start a small position today
Mhm.
certainly wouldn't have been wrong for starting a position just because of the explosive gain and close near highs.
Right. And RH with a strong reaction to the quarterly report, up almost 16%. Exceptionally strong volume behind the move, triple digit bottom line growth, yet another big quarter of sales growth that saw a huge acceleration from the prior quarter, up 78%. And big gap up behind the move, retaking that 700 level, and also compelling to see the stock closing almost at the top of its range for the day, which other earnings movers today can't say the same.
No, that's true. This was just a really strong open for RH, but the earnings report, like you said, was really outstanding. You can see earnings up 285%, revenue up 78%. Initially, RH was looking at sales this year. They were forecasting about 15 to 20% top line growth, but now they think it's going to be closer to 25, 30%. So the company has a lot of things working in its favor. Obviously, they're selling a lot of their high-end furniture. Interest rates are low. The stock market has been doing well. People are just spending money, and they're spending it at RH. So it's often counterintuitive buying a stock when it gaps
Right.
up so powerfully. But colleague Dave Chung had it exactly right on IBD Live earlier today when he said, this was a strong enough move. He wouldn't be surprised to see it hold gains. And I know he owns the stock. And we look at the weekly chart and just see this was a really nice bounce off the 10-week moving average. And I think it closed about 8% above the 10-week line. So
Mhm.
it still doesn't look really look that extended to me. I mean, it's several weeks into a new base here. So if you bought today, it was not a mistimed buy. I still think it looks actionable here.
Mhm. Yeah, and checking in on the intraday chart here, a strong open and held its gains throughout the day. That's exactly what you want to see with something like this when you're, looking at the intraday chart to pinpoint your buy, and a very strong close.
Yeah, I mean, well, the market's message was pretty clear that it was very comfortable keeping the stock around the 700 level, but there's a very compelling fundamental story going on at RH, and the latest earnings report showed that, and Gary Friedman, and it's just got this company firing on all
Mhm.
cylinders, and it technically looks great.
Right. And now we want to make sure that we see it hold the low of the breakout day. That would be good to see, trade it nice and tight from here.
Yeah, that would be a yet another sign of strength and support, and we'll see what tomorrow brings as we close out the week. But it was a strong enough move on strong enough volume today, where I'd be very surprised to see excessive volatility in the stock after today. There were big buyers in the stock today, and wouldn't be surprised to see it hold inside today's range and just maybe move sideways. It could even follow through. We'll have to see. But it was a strong
Mhm.
performance, and we'll see how it trades tomorrow.
All right. Well, Ken, as we are now 4 days of trade through the week, 1 day left to go, seems like we've been presented with more positive signals about the market health this week than negative ones. What's your take?
Well, I mean, it was kind of interesting. I mean, if you had a growth stock portfolio, where we were talking about on IBD Live earlier today, five or six stocks in my own portfolio. A lot of them were down today. They weren't down a lot, but I didn't get the outperformance that I would hope to get on a day where the Nasdaq was up so sharply. So there was strength in some other areas of the market. The IBD 50, some decliners in that index as well, and there were plenty of stocks down in the Market Smith Growth 250 as well. But like I said, the strength in the market today was in healthcare, the medical sector. So overall, what we've been saying, the market technicals, still you have to respect the uptrend with the indexes so close to highs. But I was talking with our news editor Ed Carson that this precipitous drop in the 10-year Treasury yield is a little bit of a concern. Wondering why that yield is heading lower, and why the home builders were down so sharply today. A lot of home builders flashed sell signals with decisive breaks of their 50-day moving average. And by all indications, the housing market is still healthy, so the market might be flagging some problems ahead. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see what tomorrow brings. Thanks so much, Ken, for your analysis. And thank you all for tuning in. We're, of course, going to continue the conversation tomorrow morning on IBD Live, where you can watch us analyze stocks and the market in real time. So tune into investors.com/IBD Live for that as we wrap up the week. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow after the close. Thanks, everyone.